So, friends, nice to see you again. One big question that most people have before a TGE event, like Summer is about to have, is, well, why would you want to earn this token? And that's what we're going to explore today. I think this is quite different than many other token farming opportunities. Of course, I'm biased, but I think my bias is well rooted in some pretty foundational concepts, if you will, as to why farming summer is really, really, really worthwhile. So all of this starts with the lazy summer protocol. So not just a token or something like that. It's really foundational about the protocol itself and, more importantly, the promise of the protocol, which is to do less. And specifically, that's, for Lazy Summer, it's a really simple, but it's a profound promise. And practically, what that means is Lazy Summer gives automated access to DeFi's highest quality yields. So, in some sense, why I think that this is really compelling and really important is that even without a token, just the core promise of this protocol or this product is incredibly important just in and of itself. And that's pretty clear here with respect to, if you look on the screen just within the last, this is a snapshot of November, all of the different underlying yield sources that Lazy Summer gave a depositor access to, which is a really powerful thing, especially as DeFi complexity, DeFi fragmentation, complexity and fragmentation really become even more complex and fragmented as the ecosystem grows. Now, really practically and really specifically, what this means for users is above benchmark yields, so diversified exposure to the underlying yield sources. It means getting world-class, one of the best, if not the best, risk management in DeFi from Block Analytica out of the box without doing anything. It's just there by default across protocols. So, for example, not, if you're in Morpho and you have Steakhouse as a curator, Steakhouse is a curator for within that strategy that you're in, just on Morpho. But this is cross-protocol, cross-yield source risk curation. And of course, all of this is automated, so there's no yield chasing, there's no manually clicking buttons to withdraw from one strategy and to deposit into another one. Everything is 100% automated. Now, all of that's great, and the product is, as I said, in my opinion, really great. The benefits that it conveys to users, but without results, it's somewhat meaningless. Now, Lazy Summer has consistently outperformed the vanilla benchmarks of just, depositing into Aave v3, for example, or earning with SUSDS or something like that. It really provides a sort of best of both worlds for a few different reasons, which I'll get into in a second. But the results are, consistent outperformance in times of when market conditions are favorable. And this is because of the automated risk management and the automated rebalancing that happens. So when conditions are favorable, the protocol can deploy into strategies that are a little bit more out on the risk curve. And when conditions get a little bit tighter, a little bit more market stress, capital can be rotated back into blue chip, very safe yield strategies, so that capital is obviously preserved and safe. And this is really the sort of two-pronged approach and the best of both worlds that users get with Lazy Summer that results in outperformance, as you can clearly see, versus these benchmarks. Now, the key question there might be, well, why does this happen? Why do users get this incredible benefit? And just very briefly, as we've already kind of touched on, is one, it's kind of three structural advantages. The first is yield source depth and diversity. So unlike being siloed in a single yield source within a single protocol, you have very deep selection of not only protocols but also underlying strategies that the users or depositors' capital is automatically rebalanced between. And as mentioned, this is, has best in class risk curation through risk caps that are dynamically changed. Now, and of course, lastly, this all happens in an automatic way. So over 75,000 rebalances so far, 76,000 now actually, saving users immense amounts of time and of course non-negligible amounts of gas savings as well. Not to mention the fact that especially during times of stress, automation is just 100 times, maybe 1,000 times better than panicking and doing things in a manual and rushed way. Now, we've spoken about the protocol, its structural advantages, its key benefits, its very unique and compelling value proposition or benefits, for lack of a better word. But when it comes to SUMR as a token, why now? Like, why is this the time that lazy SUMR protocol makes the most sense? And of course, why is this the time that it makes the most sense to release a token, and what is its purpose? So first, with respect to the sort of the general wind at the back of the lazy SUMR protocol is really one large trend and a few sub trends under that that's being sort of catalyzed by the larger trend. Firstly, is that in 2026 we believe that it will be the year of on-chain vaults. So different forms of credit coming on chain, different forms of yield coming on chain in a very, very, very big way. And we think that that's the natural evolution of smart contracts at first, then stable coins. We saw massive adoption and product market fit, and we feel the next evolution after that is on-chain vaults. And why we think the next evolution in DeFi is on-chain vaults are kind of three really massive trends all taking place at the same time. So first is tokenization, which we've heard a lot about from many different. Has gone deep into tokenization of stocks. For example, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, has spoken about the inevitability of tokenization and how all of financial assets should be tokenized. And we see this bear out in the data, where the growth of tokenization, real world assets, quote unquote, has really come to the fore and has been growing at a pretty rapid clip. Secondly, yield-bearing stablecoins are really exploding. We've seen incredible growth in market cap, not just in sort of vanilla non-yield-bearing stablecoins, which is of course very important, but also yield-bearing stablecoins like SUSDS, SIRP-USDC, or SIRP-USDT, all these other different types of yield-bearing stablecoins. And I think this is really summed up quite nicely here by the Morpho co-founder here around sort of the notion of institutions bringing these type of sources on chain. And lastly is, and certainly not least, is DeFi credit markets maturing. So quietly, DeFi borrowing and lending passed its 2020 and 2021 all-time high, and this is a lot of the sources, or the majority of the sources of yield, or powering the sources of yield that are very native, extremely native on chain. So very important. So with the combination of these three trends, we see massive growth within the on-chain yield ecosystem. But that also creates a really big problem. And that big problem is the problem of fragmentation. So if you go, to example, to Morpho today, and this is just one protocol, and you want to deposit USDC, so let's try and do USDC here. We have 6 pages of vaults to go through to understand, well, which is the best for me? What are the difference between these? How do I think about those trade-offs? And even if you wanted to just default to, the most popular one, then, as it relates to TVL and deposits, then what happens when the yield goes down? Why is the yield going down? Why is the yield going up? Or the yield is fluctuating. Should I just keep my capital in here? Should I not keep my capital in here? There are a lot of decisions that goes on at the individual protocol level. And yeah, it causes a lot of confusion. I don't want to pick on Morpho. It's also the case for other protocols as well, like Euler. And beyond that, just in general, if we look at the growth of the market, we see an explosion in just yield bearing stablecoins, for example. Which one do you pick? What are the trade-offs between the different stablecoins? I see Midas highlighted here. Each Midas tokenized hedge fund basically is certainly not created equal. So how do you make those trade-offs? It's a big question and very difficult and very confusing for not only individual users but institutions as well. Now, yeah, so for users, it means a lot of fragmentation, a lot of decisions to make to understand where to allocate their capital. So all of these problems, all of this fragmentation, all of this complexity, a really big opportunity for Lazy SUMR specifically. And that's why we think SUMR is the superior asset for capturing on-chain yield growth. So all of this growth, all of this incredible trends, all the wind at the back of this market creates these problems of fragmentation, these problems of complexity, and that's how that's the opportunity, and that's the what we think SUMR as an asset captures. Even though Lazy SUMR as a protocol creates a lot of value by solving these problems, the token of SUMR is what really captures that value, and this is why. First, it's protocol agnostic exposure. So if you wanted to bet on the growth of on-chain lending or the growth of on-chain yields or the growth of on-chain vaults, you might say, oh, I'll just buy Morpho, or I'll buy Euler. Oil, I think, is the name of the token, or I'll buy Aave. Maybe I'll buy Sky. Maybe a basket of all of them. But those are all individual protocols who have their own strategies and are going after specific market segments in some cases. But SUMR is really a non-protocol or a protocol agnostic approach to benefit from the growth of this entire on-chain yield market. Second is SUMR has direct revenue capture. So it is a revenue generating, revenue capturing token, as Lazy SUMR protocol is a revenue generating protocol, and SUMR has a direct claim, a direct exposure, a direct ownership over those cash flows that are being generated from the Lazy SUMR protocol. Third is SUMR, the token, has a really nice tokenomics in terms of it has a sort of flywheel, a dual staking engine. And what that means specifically is SUMR holders have the ability to lock up their SUMR in order to receive dual token rewards. First is additional. The model that has become very popular amongst different governance tokens. And also, SUMR stakers receive an additional proportion rather of US cash flows that are generated from the protocol itself. Which, yeah, when the protocol grows, it creates an incredible sort of supply shock dynamic. And lastly, the SUMR token is indexed upon market growth, not sort of specific market timing or protocol selection. If this sort of segment is more popular than this other one at a certain time, Lazy SUMR can easily take advantage of whatever the sort of trend is, of course, with assuming it fits within the risk framework that is laid out. Yeah, so practically, what this means is that the year of on-chain vaults, which we believe is certainly 2026, as many other people also sort of believe, or in some cases many institutions also believe, all of these trends, we think, tokenization is going to bring a lot of assets on chain. We think yield-bearing stablecoins are going to continue to really grow, and we think that DeFi credit also is going to continue to really grow, and that means that there's going to be a lot of fragmentation, and it means that the demand for something like lazy summer protocol is going to be very large, and that means that summer is how you capture a lot of the value that is going to be created in this market. Okay, so TGE is very close for the lazy summer protocol, less than a week away, and you might be wondering to yourself, how do you position yourself? What is it that you need to do in order to get ready for the launch of the token, the launch of a liquid token for the Lazy Summer Protocol, which is happening on the 21st of January. The first thing to do, and probably in my opinion the most important thing to do, is to simply deposit into the Lazy Summer Protocol and start earning Summer today. So Summer is already available. It's a released token already, but it is not tradable. So it doesn't have a sort of mark-to-market value, but it can still be earned. Now, how to do this is simply go to the Lazy Summer Protocol, summer.fi/earn, and you're going to have to go through a simple sort of checklist, but an important one, because the Lazy Summer Protocol, especially in my view, is not just about farming the Summer token. I mean, it is a very nice bonus and very important one as well to align different people in the ecosystem, etc. But fundamentally, it's just a great protocol. It's something that you should be deploying your capital into regardless. So the selection of the type of asset that you go into, or the type of vault that you go into, is quite important. Now, specifically, there are a few decisions that you need to make. So first is, what asset do you want to use? Maybe it's an asset that you already hold, maybe not. So first, idea is focus on what you want to use. So for me, I'm liking stable coins these days, so I'm gonna focus on that. The next is really deciding the network that you want to use. So if you're very comfortable with mainnet, then you should stick to mainnet. If you're comfortable with Base, then you should stick with Base. If you want to explore, something like Hyper EVM, then you should explore Hyper EVM. And yeah, so you should really select the network that you want to use. And then here's kind of one of the key things, which is focusing on really understanding what the trade-off that you want to make is. So if you're optimizing for summer rewards, you want to sort by summer rewards, which will give you the highest rewards relative to the asset or the network that you're comfortable with, which might be a good strategy for some people, or a good way to optimize for some people. Or if you just want to really earn the most sort of steadfast yields from the generally speaking, these are like the most vanilla and straightforward strategies that are being optimized, and then as a bonus, you'll also earn summer rewards as well. Or you might want to optimize for just native yield, so earning cash on cash yield. That's what you want to optimize for, and then the summer rewards are just a bonus on top of that. So for me, I actually think that that's what makes the most sense. Then you'll just click into that specific, and you might want to check out what the underlying yield source is that you're getting exposure to, and then go ahead and simply deposit, which is as simple as just signing a transaction, depositing, and then you're done. One other good thing to keep in mind is that you can easily switch between different protocols or different vaults as easy as one simple click, one simple transaction, in case you have a change of heart. Maybe you want to optimize more for rewards, maybe you want to go from USDC to ETH or ETH to USDC, and you can do that really easily within the UI here. Now, second thing to do to prepare for TGE is to think about staking. Now, as soon as you deposit, you'll start earning summer right away. And whether you've earned a lot of summer before, whether you are earning summer currently because you just deposited, or whether you plan to acquire or buy summer on the market on the 21st of January, you'll want to really familiarize yourself with staking, summer staking. This is a pretty novel, piece of tokenomics with respect to summer staking because it's a dual reward staking engine, if you will, meaning that summer that is staked not only earns additional summer rewards, which is a very familiar concept to people, as mentioned, but also given that USDC or the lazy additional additional summer or USDC, excuse me, from protocol revenues. So it's really the best of both worlds, and you're earning those rewards a little bit nuanced. So I will give an example here. There's other tutorials out there that are more in depth, but at a very high level. What's important to really consider and to really plan is to think about how much, or for how long rather, you want to stake your summer, because different amounts or different times that you lock up your summer for give a different sort of amount of boost, so to speak, or a different amount of boosted rewards relative to the amount of time you're willing to commit to. Up to 7 times for locking your summer for up to 3 years, which is quite a long time. But if you're highly convicted on the protocol, then maybe it makes sense for you. One other thing to keep in mind is that you can lock your summer for month, 25 summer for 2 months, 25 summer for 3 months, 25 summer for 4 months. You're not constrained to just having one position. Lastly, here, one thing that might be very helpful is to go to the summer staking page and to check out all locked summer positions. And you can sort of start to get an idea of, how long people are locked up for, especially larger users. So we can see here that, about 100 million, about 28 million summer is locked up for 3 to 6 months, which is about 35% of the staked summer. So we can really get an idea of how much skin in the game, how much conviction a lot of holders of summer actually have, which is just really great. It's really good to see. So that's awesome. Now, the third thing that you want to do to prepare for the TGE of summer on the 21st of January is to consider LPing into the Aerodrome LP position or LP pool that will be available on the 21st of January. That's how the token is going live. So yeah, there are many different tutorials and such around, how to actually LP and such, but yeah, you'll need to think about how much USDC do you want to use, how much summer do you have already maybe to LP into these different pools. And then of course, if you're an Aerodrome person voter, then you'll need to consider how does it stack up for you with respect to Aero rewards and being able to earn Aero as well. Great. So that is really how to prepare for TG. It's really 3 simple things: deposit into the protocol to earn before TG goes live. Really think about your staking strategy, and then if you want to LP, you should consider doing that as well. That's the core of preparation, and that should, for most people, get you 90% of the way in terms of preparing for the January 21st TG for summer token. Now, very lastly, TG happens a lot, or has happened a lot in the past, and it's sort of like a big event and then a big drop off in a way. But that is not what I expect to happen with the Lazy Summer protocol for a few specific reasons, which is that directly after the TG, there are a few things that are clearly planned and that users can really look forward to, not only to earn additional summer, but to gain additional utility from the protocol that has created summer, which is of course the Lazy Summer protocol itself. So the first thing after TG to look forward to is DAO managed vaults, which are a new type of vault within the Lazy Summer protocol that is currently going through the governance process that is a little bit more risk on, it gives users just automated access to a broad basket of DeFi yield strategies, and it will just give, it's a little bit more high risk, but it's just a more of an indexed, broad-based approach as opposed to a much more risk-adjusted yield strategies that are very actively managed by Block Analytica. So that's number one. Second thing to really consider or to look forward to is many new yield sources coming online. So ones from Midas, for example, I'm personally quite excited about. Ones from Kelp that I'm also quite excited about. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And then of course, summer rewards are going to change, are going to evolve. So that's something also to look forward to after TGE. And last but certainly not least is institutional partnerships, major announcements, coming there that everybody should stay tuned about. From a little bit less known, I think, portion of the Laser SUMR protocol, which is self-managed vaults that are sort of very institutional focused vaults and give institutions the ability to create basically a lazy SUMR protocol, but bespoke to them, bespoke to the yield sources that they want most exposure to, and in some cases, bespoke to the yield sources that they can have exposure to. So that's really, really awesome. So, with all of that, if you believe in tokenization, that is going to grow. If you believe in DeFi, borrowing and lending, that is going to grow. If you believe in yield-bearing stablecoins, and that is going to grow, then you should believe in SUMR, and you should be doing everything that you can to prepare for the TGE on January 21st. So with that, I hope this was very helpful for you and that you'll be very prepared for the TGE and that you're getting a lot of value and benefit and just awesomeness from the Lazy SUMR protocol. So thank you all and have a nice day.